What's going on, guys? Welcome to another live stream session with your boy Phrankleen. Let's uh, let's see who is online. If you can see me, you can hear me. Please hit the like button. All right. Let's get people in. You can see me, you can hear me. Hit the like button. All right. Let's have a chat. Good evening. Good morning. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Jules, what's going on, man? Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Let's have a chat. Now, if this is your first time, landing on my channel, thank you for doing so. I appreciate you. If you're watching this as a playback, it's absolutely nice to have you on the platform. So, this is an interesting topic. Let's have a chat. I'm all right, Jules. I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. All right. Helps gain traction. Somebody's asking Camel Milk. That's a username there, man. I'm fine, thank you. Fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. So basically, today's topic, stemmed out of a particular comment on one of my previously uploaded video, and I've also had a few emails from some of the viewers on my channel, some people in the past. So I am basically just interested in having a chat. Let's have a chat. I'm going to say a few things, and I'm going to provide you with a link. If you want to have a chat, you want to dial in and join the conversation, join the conversation. All right. I'd love to hear from people. If you're just joining, hit the like button. Now, these episode is sponsored by Sendwave. Sendwave is basically an app that you can download within the 2 shakes of a duck still on your mobile devices. You can download it on your iPhone, on your Android. Sendwave allows you to send money from Italy, Spain, Ireland, United Kingdom, United States of America to Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, Uganda, and or Kenya. All right. If you use my promo code Phrankleen, as it's spelled on my channel, you will be able to get £5, $5, or €5 added to your very first transaction. Now, if you are sending money, particularly to Nigeria, and you use my promo code, at the moment, Sendwave has got a special offer going on. 4.5% of your transaction will be added to your transaction as a gesture of goodwill in this period, okay, if you're sending money to Nigeria. So bear that in mind. Share the promo code with your friends and or family. All right. So if you can hear me, you can see me, hit the like button. Now, are Black folks fanning the flames of Africa's gentrification? So, in light of my content, for those of you that watch Phrankleen all the time, thank you. I've had several emails in the background, and some people will say stuff to me like, Phrankleen, it's like this. I've seen, like, there's a very high number of Black folks who, because they've made it out of the motherland for whatever reasons, have brought them to the West, and they've managed to accumulate what do you call now, X amount of money. They have X amount of money to themselves or in their savings, or they've managed to buy a house, or they've almost paid off their mortgage. They completely detach themselves from everything Africa, and Sorry, who's this person? Caden Pat. Okay, you're saying what gentrification, what black folks, what about the non-black folks who live in Africa? Calm yourself down, all right? Don't go ahead of me because you have no idea what I'm about to say. Learn to relax. The show has just started. Okay, then we can start talking. Is that all right? So now I've had several emails over time where people always find everything and anything that's wrong with Africa, the motherland. And it's like, oh, I've gotten out of Africa and, you know, um, why should I bother? So if those of you that watch my channel would realize that there was a video that I made recently about a gentleman who was contemplating on relocating from Nigeria at the age of 40 and all that. And my position in that video is you've already got a home built in Africa. You got X amount of money in your pocket. You're not doing bad at all. So you want to bin all of those things to go abroad and go start all over again. Now, so many people aligned with my reasoning. So this particular brother that emailed me and said, "Oh, he came to the UK in 2007. He was 35-year-old at the time. Blah 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 blah. He was able to." In joining forces with his missus and all that stuff, he was able to buy a home. He currently his property is valued about £700,000. He has X amount of money left on his mortgage. He has about £250,000 saved. Now, good for you, brother. Good for you, and I celebrate you. There's nothing wrong with 135 people watching. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Please hit the like button. It helps gain traction. Okay. So, and then there's been a few others that have said stuff like, I've managed to break out of Africa. This is the XYZ that's not working in my country. Take Nigeria, for example. And on one hand, there's a part of me that kind of relate to them to an extent and say, okay, you kind of gone out in search of greener pastures and stuff. But then when you realize that we have a problem of complacency, as soon as most black folks see a little bit of what I call comfortability, you've got a little bit of money in your pocket, or I like to call it for the purposes of this segment, you're enjoying a bit of breadcrumbs in the West, and you think the motherland, the entirety of Africa, nothing works. Africa needs to go to hell. Okay. And I see this quite a lot. In fact, for the likes of people like Wadimaya, myself, you're talking about the motherland, investing, setting up businesses back home. And I'm happy there are those of you that get it, that understand there are people actually aspiring, planning to, relocate or invest more, buy assets back home and do better with their lives. But then there are these bunch of black folks who perhaps, they have a good job or they've managed to set up a good income and they've cancelled the motherland completely. And their argument is usually, oh, the West is better. Right? It worries me. It worries me a lot. These particular brothers said to me that, if somebody is able to ditch everything they've got in Africa at the age of 40, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's very dangerous. Now, let's look at the framework, or how do I say, the chassis to all of this, the foundation. Now, here is how I see it. There's already an ongoing brain drain in Africa. You don't need me to tell you. Just go on Google and look into it yourself. Brain drain is how the West get the best of our brains and minds in Africa. And people, it's a normal behavioral pattern as a human being. If you're in a place and you come to a realization that you're not living your best life, and you're not doing well, then it's understandable that you normally try to go look for greener pastures. We've all done it. Now, what runs concurrently with that is also the destruction of the mindset of a lot of black folks when you assimilate yourself into the Western system. Okay, you forget about the roots. You don't want to look back. You settle. We procreate in the West. You remain there, and then you look at Africa like a dump, like a place you should never return to. It's the story of so many people. Now, Africa has, a truckload of its challenges and all that stuff. A lot of the palaver that a lot of us don't know. You don't need me to tell you that. We're not going deeply into those things. But it's deliberate because 99.999% of African leaders are controlled. They're puppets. They're controlled by the West. Okay? The Berlin Conference is enough to open your eyes into the current state of Africa, whereby Africa has been knifed, has been divided. So whilst we're looking at our leaders in the front end and we're complaining on a daily basis, very rightly so, and about the things that we're not happy about and stuff, they're in fact puppets attached to strings, right? And the people controlling the puppets are making sure that they are fleecing Africa, they're siphoning Africa. So the ongoing plan is to make sure that black people, Africans, get totally displaced in the sense that they force you out of the motherland. They take full control because Africa has all the resources that the entirety of the West are desperately reliant on. That's a fact. So a bunch of us are like in the way. So how is it that they're able to control affairs? So they destabilize the African economy. The basic amenities are lacking. You're frustrated. You complain. You're not happy about the way things are. It's a normal behavioral pattern. Okay, I'm also involved. So you then decide to remove yourself, which is understandable. We call it going to look for greener pastures. So they create a non-satisfactory environment, an irritating environment for you that justifies our constant migration. So we go out in droves. Now, what that means is we land in their countries. I live in the UK, so you're forced into the system because you're looking for greener pastures. But what we're doing what runs concurrently with all of this migration is we are strengthening the GDP, the Western GDP, the economy of whatever countries we live in. That's a fact. If you're working in the UK, you're paying taxes in the UK, you are strengthening the UK system. That's a fact. If you live in the States, you're grinding 24/7, you're strengthening the the US system, Germany, Brussels, Netherlands, wherever you find yourself, okay? And they keep the brain drain going. We then stay in the West. They tolerate you in the West. They force us into a tight corner. You live in a system that tolerates you. You really cannot reach the pinnacle of your potential. All right? You get just about who is this person? Babajide Afolabi. But how does that have to do with the West? You calm yourself down, bro. If you don't understand it, okay, let me finish talking or go watch something else, okay? In fact, if you have a black person that comes on a live stream and then you're talking about how does the brain drain in Africa, what does that have to do with the West? No disrespect. What that tells me is you have no clue about how this world is orchestrated and what really happens in the wider society. Okay? You need to educate yourself. To come on my live stream and be asking, what has this got to do with the West? Trust me, you don't have a clue. You need to go educate yourself. So, as I was saying, you're clueless. You need to go educate yourself. As I was saying, before I got interrupted by that brother, I hope you see the light, my brother. I hope you see the light. The brain drain forces us out. It's a strategy. All I'm getting at is it's a template that they've put in place. So we go, and then yeah, we strengthen the West. In just about 2 generations, it's enough to strip a black family of their history and background. Because most black families, when we procreate in the West, most, remember say most black families, they haven't got the ability to take their children home constantly to Africa, because it's expensive to put all your children and family on the plane to go, visit Africa as often as possible. So what happens is most people grow up in the West. You're totally disconnected. Only takes about 2 generations. Only takes about 2 generations, right? For us to be absolutely, a lot of our people to be disconnected from, what do you call it, man? To be disconnected from our roots. There's a lot of our youths that don't have a clue about their backgrounds, their motherland. They can say, oh, I'm from Ghana, oh, I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Zimbabwe. But the truth is, they've totally, sorry, what's this one, man? Phrankleen, please don't blame the West. I'm going to ignore that. So what I'm effectively saying is, we as black folks, whether directly or indirectly, we are fanning the fire. Because you know why? I've come to realize, because by some of the submissions and what some people write to me, there is an element of selfishness in a lot of black people, which, as I bring out this content, as I do YouTube content, as I relate and interact with people, it allows me to see more and more the state of mind. One of my favorite parts of my channel is I look at the comment section, and you see people's mindset. Some people take the time to email me, and it's like, as soon as I've made a bit of money for myself, Africa can go to hell. I'm not African Simba. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. They're not bothered, pretty much. They're not bothered, and they just, whatever happens, as long as I'm all right, as long as I've got a bit of money in my pocket, what goes on. Somebody's saying, I'm sorry if I missed this, but is your definition of gentrification of Africa? And people just completely forget and detach themselves. As long as I'm all right in the UK, I've got a good job, I'm making money, I'm lining my own pocket, I'm absolutely fine, I've got £100,000 in savings, my property is worth £1,000,000. I don't want to go back to the motherland. I'm all right. Now, what runs concurrently with that type of mindset is more and more people are adopting that very dangerous mindset. And when the West presents you with a bit of comfortability, more and more people, because if you take, for example, I detach myself, your children, your household are going to buy into the same mentality. And the template of existence in the West is, we can see, look at the news, look at what's happening every day in America. Blacks are getting killed every day. There is a message, there is a big message right in the face of everybody. Black lives don't matter. They do not care. They may not be shooting black people at the same rate as they do in America, here in the UK or other parts of Europe. It's the same agenda. It's okay that you can work in the system, you can contribute, they take your taxes, you're helping the GDP, you're strengthening. But in terms of advancement in the society, black people are at the bottom of everything. But about the motherland, they are moving in. The Chinese, the UK, the Western countries, they are moving in, they're buying our lands, they're taking over aggressively being the objective word. So how is this working out? On one hand, We are moving out in thousands upon thousands, hundreds and thousands. We justify our relocation. Again, like I said earlier, I understand it's human nature. I want to go try elsewhere. But whilst we are doing that, they are coming in with power, with resources through the back door. They're buying our lands. And if that pattern continues, because in the West, Black people own nothing. That's a fact. We own nothing. We own nothing. What people don't understand is the bulk of Africa is controlled by the West. So Black people own nothing. And this is why I worry about, not even worry, I actually feel sorry for those Black folks that think their problems are solved because, oh, I own a couple of properties in America, or I own this business, I have X amount of money in my bank account. That's fine. That's fine. It's okay. You know, if you've worked hard to earn £200,000, to earn $100,000, to have one or two properties, I respect your hustle. I appreciate your hard work. But people are so mentally limited in how they look at the wider Black communities. They don't care. They're not bothered. Why should I, worry about the bigger picture of the motherland as long as I'm okay? The bigger impact is they are killing the motherland on a daily basis. On a daily basis. On a daily basis. Most of our children in the West, look at the school, look around you, look at your immediate jurisdiction. Most people in the West, most of these youths, they're disconnected. They don't even know anything about their history, their forefathers, their villages, the towns they came from, because they don't have a clue. Because their parents are already, like I said, by the time this generation comes, you have your own children, your children grow up and they have their own children. That lineage is already done. There's a disconnect, a major disconnect. All you just see externally is, oh, here's a Black man, here's a Black woman. Ask them about their history, their background, wash, they are gone. If you want to join the conversation, I'm going to put a link on here. I want people to dial in. What people don't understand, you see, that's what I'm saying. There are some people that are so narrow-minded. What people do not understand is when you say, oh, why are you blaming the West? It's not really about blaming the West. The West, before I was even thought of, before my father was thought of, before my mother was even thought of, right? Go and read up on the Berlin Conference. They already have Africa, right, on the dining table with their fork and knives and constantly controlling the affairs of the motherland. So how do we move this bunch of Black folks? How do we disperse them? How do we displace them, right? Create a high level of poverty, create an inconvenient environment. It will force them out. And thank you, man. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Force them out in droves, right? So when they force you out, it's a behavioral pattern that, yes, we will go to the West. That's why we are here. More and more people are moving out. And then in the same West, we're pretty much walking on eggshells. Look at America. They're killing us in numbers on a daily basis. They're telling you that you're not welcomed. We don't want you. You're not one of us. This is in your home. So people are constantly moving out. Africa is getting naked on a daily basis, more and more exposed. They come, they bring their hefty resources, their money, they're buying our lands, they're taking over, they're building infrastructures aggressively. China, particularly. All of these things are right before our eyes. So, because I think the long-term agenda is, I've said it before in a video, in one of my videos in the past, at the peak of the pandemic. Yeah, I fear that it will get to a point that if Africans are not careful, we will become tenants in our motherland. Someone said, "Oh, thank you, homegirl." It says, "Yes, we really have to wake up and undo the damage of the Berlin Conference." I'm so glad you're talking about it. This is why it's staggering when I see black folks on here that say, "Oh, why if you don't have a rudimentary understanding of how certain things are actually structured for a start, you cannot even start having some of these conversations." And that's one of the deadliest things, that grown men, grown women don't even have a basic understanding of how the world is wired. I'm sat here, I'll be honest, I'm still learning. I'm not projecting myself as an epitome of knowledge. But what I'm saying is they are sabotaging Africa on a daily basis. Believe me, man. Believe me. Black people, we are unbelievably disorganized. We are unbelievably disorganized. And my main point this evening, I can see some people already in the background, I'm going to bring you on now to talk, is we have a selfish nature, which is that's why you notice we constantly talk about, oh, black people, we need to come together, we lack togetherness. And also the Western culture teaches you selfishness. That's why we are heavily disconnected amongst ourselves. As long as I get mine, as long as I'm all right, as long as I've got food in my own house, I've got a nice job, I'm working in the city of London, I'm all right, my children, my wife, my husband, I'm okay, I drive a nice car. I don't care about Africa. Why should I bother? But you exist in a system that doesn't even want you for a start. You might have been able to navigate and get something for yourself, but are we looking at the bigger picture and the adverse effect on the wider black community, Africa particularly? Let me bring someone in. Akitunde Akinola, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How you doing?
What's going on, bro? I can't hear you properly. Can you speak up, please?
Yes. Can you hear me better?
A bit better. Still start sound a bit low. What's going on?
Yeah, not much. I just wanted to chime in real quickly here. I think for the most part, one needs to understand, what's happening with China, with all these other countries coming into Africa
Mm-hmm.
is an issue of man's humanity against man. You can go back as far back as you want to go, whether it's a Chinese oppressing the Chinese actually ruling the Japanese for many years. You can go back to the Khan Empire, the British Empire. This is just unfortunately what humans do. They, t- t- they tend to take advantage of other people where they can. Um,
Mm.
Personally, I've been listening to you now for about a month or so, and
Right,
in a number of your videos. I am
right,
beyond mystified how anybody can oppress anybody. I don't care if you have $1 trillion. I don't care what you drive, what you possess. If you live to be 120 years old, you're only on this earth for a very short minimum amount of time.
right.
So what you possess, what you think you have, how that can oppress me is not even possible. So to a larger extent, the question has to be, who are you as a person? I understand even with slavery. I always tell people this, at least in the Yoruba land, other villages used to go and fight villages, enslave mostly their men, bring them back to their farm to come and farm for them. So
Right.
the issue of being enslaved, either by the Americans or the Spaniards, um, this is what humans do. If you're a governor in Nigeria, from where I am from, I understand the impact of the British Empire. But the British Empire is not going to make me go and buy 30 Lexus Jeeps to go and distribute to other people when we have children that don't have shoes or even slippers to wear to school. So the question is, what do you do as an individual? And in my household, I mean, I've been in, I came to the United States some 30 years ago or thereabout. And what we
Right.
try to do is to every year, through a support system, through one of the church that my mom used to attend in Nigeria, to actually send 5 people either to some college of some sort or go and become a hairdresser, go to hairdressing school to go and better yourself. So is the question is, what does each one of us do from an individual standpoint to empower and enrich the lives of other people? You being blessed, the primary reason for you to be blessed is so that you can become a blessing, not so that you can buy a Lamborghini. There is nothing wrong in buying a Lamborghini if that's what you want. But what do you do? You are only here for a very limited amount of time. Channel your energy, your resources to empowering the lives of other people.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Right. Dawn from Atlanta. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, perfect. So that was interesting call on the last call. He said a couple of things about being an individual, and I think that kind of goes to your point of we've got to get away from that mindset. And I will
Yeah.
just tell you, growing up, one of the things, so I'm an American Black, if you want to call it American descendant of slavery. So I'm an American Black generations. And so one of the things that I was taught, and I'm sure you've heard this, they talked about it takes a village to raise a family or raise a child.
Yeah.
And that was something that we always talked about, that it took a community, not only to protect us, but also to help look out for opportunities, for options. And I think this goes back to we've lost a lot of that. And what's interesting is growing up as an American Black, I really was not exposed, although I was in a college town. I really wasn't exposed to a lot of, Africans from the continent, from any country, until I got
Right.
older and I went to college. That's when I started introduced. So I went to University of Maryland at College Park. Of course, DC Metro, DC area. There are a lot of Africans there, and so.
Right.
As I talked to more and I, became friends with not only more Caribbean people, but also, Africans from the continent. It's interesting because growing up, my thought was always this kind of united village where everyone looked out for each other. And I think with everything, I've had my African friends tell me we idolized America, thinking we're going to come here and Black Americans were going to be a certain way, and right, and we were disappointed. And it's funny, on the reverse side, I have traveled to Africa and at specifically Kenya. And so I was disappointed because what I thought of this unity of this community and this village, and it was not that, because that whole mindset of that individualism, right? Everyone looking out for themselves has kind of taken over all of us, not just, Africans from the continent, people that go abroad. And I do think that's why it's so easy to divide and conquer. I think that's why it's so easy for us not to own. I am super appreciative that you are so clear that I think sometimes when people travel, going back to your point of if they're in the UK or they're in Europe or they're in America and they come from an educated family and they're doing okay in those places, they feel as though not only have they arrived, but I'm better. And they don't realize in the grand scheme of things, not really. Until all of us, majority of us are doing better, we are not in a good place. I think I'm doing decent. I've done well and my kids are in college and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I understand that if I'm on an island and I'm the only one or just a couple of my friends are doing well, that's not doing well. It's really about, as a whole, are we doing okay? Right? And I think, to your point, we are not. As a Black community globally, as a global Black community, we are not doing well. Would you agree with that?
100%. 100%.
And it's hard because having this conversation, a lot of it is class. I've actually called in before. It's class issues. It's just so many different things where people disconnect, and that's not my problem until it is their problem, right? I'm better than you until it's your kid in America that gets pulled out the car and they're shot. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, but he was a good boy. No, you missed the whole point. It's about Blacks being at the bottom everywhere we go and not being appreciated. And for some reason, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's about Blacks being at the bottom of everywhere we go. Thank you. That's a money shot right there. I love that statement. And this is the thing that drives the wall, whereby Black people who have managed to, like you've already said it, I've said it, I'm just going to say it again, where, oh, I've got this job, I've got this business, I've got a bit of money to myself, my property is now valued at £700,000, or I've got blah, 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 oh, I don't, yeah, I don't want to go to the motherland. I'm all right. I'm thinking, wait, hang on. Fine, get money. By all means, we need money to improve our lives and pay bills, blah, blah, blah. So, but why is it that when you get a bit of comfortability, you disconnect yourselves from the bigger picture? You start talking down at your own folks, Africa. Oh, I don't want to go back. I don't want to have anything to do with the place. And they raise their children whilst living in the West with this terrible mindset, which then what that does is it erodes their minds, particularly the children, of whatever they need to know, the history. They lack knowledge. They have zero appreciation for their history, their story, the sufferings of their forefathers and all that. And they assimilate themselves into the Western system. And that's exactly what the people at the pinnacle of affairs want us to do.
You're right. I mean, and I think the question becomes, how do we bridge this gap? And it's disappointing because, I'm sorry?
I said education. Go on, carry on.
Well, it's education, but here's the thing. As I said before, of course, I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And to be honest, the majority of the people in my circle are all educated, multiple degrees. But I still don't see where people kind of can see each other and understand. Just because I may have a couple more dollars in the bank or I have a couple more degrees, it really does not really change your status as a whole as a Black person on the globe, right? Like you said, the Chinese, they're not respecting that. They're still going into China. Even my friends from the Caribbean, the Chinese are buying up Jamaica left and right. So this phenomenon, it's going on everywhere, where little by little, even places of homelands for Black people, they are losing their properties. They're losing their economies. The Chinese are in Jamaica building highways, airports. And so it's not owned. They're puppets, like in so many African countries where they're puppets. So when you say it's education, what I feel sometimes is people that are most educated are the main culprits. They're the main ones actually selling people out. So when you say education specifically, gosh, it's hard to tell somebody who thinks they're brilliant, they have a doctorate, hey, you're kind of wrong in how you look at things and how you move. Does that kind of make sense what I'm saying? Because even trying to talk to educated Black Americans, Africans from the continent, Caribbeans, they're still so isolated. And I'm an elitist. I'm in a class above. I'm not dealing with those low class people. And they don't see why we should come together. Does that kind of make sense?
100%. Absolutely. You're right. I agree with you.
So it's a conundrum. Like I go, how do we get from this divide? I mean, it's really bad in America with just the separate groups, the Black Americans, the Caribbean, the Africans. Like, as I told you before, my daughter's in college. She's in her senior year, and she's like, Mom, it is so divided. Like it's an African Student Association, Black Student Association, Caribbean Student Association. And it's just, how did we get here? When I was in college at University of Maryland, there was one Black student union, and everybody, Caribbean, African, American, Black, we all belonged to it. We did international festivals. Everything was together. And it's, when I tell you, like, it breaks my heart, because unless she puts forth a huge effort to go to those parties, to mingle, then she's not included. So because of this effort, matter of fact, she went up to the table when she was a freshman to the Caribbean Student Association, and she's like, oh, I would, like to sign up and maybe just be a part. And they were like, well, where are your parents from? Where are you from? How are you connected to the Caribbean that you would want to join? And it was incredible that has become the barrier now. If you can't trace your direct roots to the Caribbean or to Africa, to a country in Africa, you're not welcome here. So I don't know. And this is in a higher institution of learning. So I will tell you that it's disheartening. It really is kind of what you're saying. I don't see how we're going to change it until we get people to understand that Just because your accent or something is different doesn't make you better or worse. And how do we get people to get on the same page? And I really don't have the answer.
Anyway, thanks, Don. I'll let me
Thank
get
you.
someone. I appreciate you. Thank you, Don. Amara.
Yeah, what's going on, bro?
I'm all right, my brother. You?
What's going on, bro?
I'm all right. I can hear you loud and clear. How are you?
Good, good. Out here in Charlotte, North Carolina, man.
Nice one, man. So what's up? What do you think?
Man, I tell you this. You know, I'm from Sierra Leone.
Right.
And when I first came over here, before I came over here, I used to idolize everything black. Back then in Sierra Leone, we had, people, Sierra Leoneans would come back home with movies about Black America, and they'll come back home with magazines like Ebony and Jet. Oh, I love Ebony and Jet. Everybody in school had Ebony and Jet in Sierra Leone. You know what I'm saying? They're like it was a section where they had all these pretty black girls and from different universities and whatever. And everybody was seeing themselves with these pretty black girls. We're like, bro, I'm going to University of North Carolina. I'm gonna go out there, and be with the black girls. Everybody was idolizing them. Yeah. But when I came over here and I was so hyped up again with my brothers and sisters, and the African community was like, what you doing, bro? I was like, man, these my people. And they was like, no, bro. These people look down on them. I was like, no, bro. These my people. I've been idolizing them from way back in Sierra Leone. You know what I'm saying? Everything about Black America we loved about Sierra Leone. Going to school, going to college, everything. You know what I'm saying? So when I came back, I said I want my own experience. Everybody, I was like, all right, go ahead. Go ahead. You're going to bump your head and you're going to come right back to us. But what I see is it's a lack of information. It's a lack of information. See what I'm saying? Because people were saying, y'all sleeping trees, y'all do this and do that. I was like, it ain't like that. I said, all I need to do is we need to go down to Africa and take a trip down to Africa. And you'll change your mindset. But back then, like in the 90s, they would go to African parties and whatever. But there was some kind of divide. You know what I'm saying? Because I learned how to because I like to talk sports. Because in Sierra Leone we like football. What we call football, they call it soccer over here. And so I came by and I seen it was the Super Bowl time. I came over there, it was Super Bowl time. Everybody was jumping around. Everybody was so focused on the game or whatever. So I said, I'm gonna teach myself this sport. I'm gonna get into it because I want to talk with my brothers and sisters. I want to talk sports because that's a man thing. You're gonna talk sports or whatever. And then I started learning or whatever. But sometimes you get into conversations, everybody look at you like, what you talking about, bro? Talk about soccer. talk about this and that. Anytime you try to get into a conversation, they're like, they block you off. They'll be like, bro, you don't know nothing, bro. You don't know nothing. But still.
Let me stop you quickly. Hold on. Let me stop you quickly. So I get where you're coming from and where you're going with that. I appreciate that. But what I want to ask you quickly is these idea of Black folks that maybe come from the motherland and stuff, and then and they've managed to have a bit of money in their pockets. They settle in the West. They detach themselves from the motherland because they're in the West. They've got a bit of money and they don't want to have anything to do with Africa. What do you think that's doing to the wider Black community? What do you think?
Because that's bad. You know why that's bad? Because I know people left Africa and a lot of people were struggling, or a lot of people went to college and there were no jobs. So when they get that opportunity to come to America or whatever, they want to cut themselves off, and that's not a good thing. But America humbles you. You can put America on a pedestal and think it's all good. I got my degrees and I got everything. But when the system turns against you, you sit back there and look hard and be like, bruh, I really need to go back to Africa, bruh. I really need to go back to Africa. Because you can slice it, you can do whatever you want to do. You see what I'm saying? But you can leave out your house. When I leave out my house and I'm driving, I'm telling you, I'm on eggshells. I'm looking at all three mirrors. All three mirrors. As soon as I see you had to be a police car. You had to drive a Ford Explorer. As soon as I see a Ford Explorer, 5 cars back, I'm making a turn. I'm turning right on that and going somewhere else. I'm automatically thinking it's the police. I'm not waiting them to come close to see the blue and white stripes on there and the lights. That's what I'm saying. Then sometimes I'm about to come out like a parking lot.
Frank, we lost you. I get what the brother is trying to say. I get you. But I would also like us, I ask nicely that we stay on track. Your chuckles, man. I like the way you sound, bro. Anyway, let's add the next person. Hello.
Hi, Phrankleen.
How you doing, bro?
I'm good. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation about why people come together. People don't come together because of the color of their skin, these Western individuals. They come together because of value. Value. We have to add value to each other, to exchange value. That's why people come together. If you're talking of African unity, what do you mean by African unity? You mean that all Black people of the same color come together? We share, sometimes we have nothing in common. Sometimes you even go into societies and realize that there is a society of doctors. We should find niches of people who can exchange value. That's the only way by which we can exchange effectively with people who are coming into the country. For example, if you look at countries like Ghana and Nigeria, there's a lot of traditional value that we could add to these people who are coming into our countries, and then we could have an effective exchange, unlike previously in colonial times where they came to exploit. The only challenge we have right now is that we don't have enough value to offer them. So we see them as exploiters. Whether we like it or yes, they are coming. It's not like the Chinese government is coming to buy land in Ghana and say that Chinese come and settle here. They don't do that. Individual Chinese people come to Ghana and exchange their currency with Ghanaian people and get land. There is an invasion going on. We all realize that. But it's not an invasion the way we like to perceive it, like they are coming to colonize us.
Bro, let me stop you. Forgive me for interrupting you, right? I get what you're saying, but I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Look, the orchestration of what's going on in Africa, bro, go and read up on the Berlin Conference. The Berlin Conference. These things, I've come to realize that the planet that we exist in, the world we exist in, is a giant stage, okay? Everything is scripted, everything. A lot of the things that you see unfold globally and stuff, they've been planned for donkey years, okay? Now, I can agree with you to an extent that it's possible for a regular Chinese person to jump on the plane, get visa, come to maybe Ghana or Nigeria. They've got a bit of money and they can maybe navigate through the help of a couple of local connection, and they can possibly buy lands. I get what you're saying. That's possible. But I'm talking about top level of things, right? These people are not joking. Is it Zambia or what's that place where the Chinese have moved in so much that all the billboards, the text, everything is now being publicly displayed in Chinese language? Even though the population of people that exist in that country, which is an African country, is clearly more Africans than the few Chinese. Now, it's like if you look at the world we live in, the powerful elites, that actually control the global affairs. In terms of numbers, they're very tiny, right?
Yes.
But they control the global resources, the banks, the hospitals, everything, the oil and gas industries and stuff. These, why do they call them bloodline elites? It's not a mistake, because you know why? If you control certain power and that power goes back to your forefathers and your generation. I'm not just going to be a regular guy now and they'll just look at me and say, Phrankleen, okay, take some of this power, Phrankleen. Franklin's a random guy. No way. They keep it. They keep it in that circuit. That's why they use the term bloodline elites. That's why there would, for example, we live in the West, we talk about racism, it's a common knowledge. You don't need me to tell you that. We talk about, why are we fighting against racism? We demand respect, we demand to be treated the same way our white counterparts will be treated, right? But as I grew older myself, and as you educate yourself, you realize that actually racism is not just about, I despise you because you're a black person. Of course, in the simplistic way of explaining it, racism is in fact economical. That's why that lady that spoke earlier, if you listen to what she said, is it Dawn, right? Black people are at the bottom of everything or every part of the society globally. It's deliberate. That doesn't necessarily mean, black people are incompetent. That's why they're at the bottom. No, it's deliberate. It's a deliberate societal structure to keep us at the bottom end of the spectrum, whilst the people controlling affairs sit at the top. Now, I'm one of the people, I'm sure you'd agree, so many people, African leaders have done this, they're corrupt, they can't do the roads, the hospitals, the electricity, blah, 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 the usual conversation. But the more you look, the more you gain knowledge, you realize that 99.999% of African leaders are in fact puppets. And the person pulling the strings, controlling the puppet, are actually the dark hands that are controlling the society. This is why I'm talking about the template of operation that's been laid for generation. You see, if you sit in this room where I'm sat right now, check this out, bro. If I walk in through the door and I say to you, hey man, get out, yeah? The normal behavioral pattern is you probably will challenge me and say, why do you want me to step out? Especially if you have the right to be in this room, yeah? And if you're as a man, I can imagine like testosterone kicking and you'd be like, what? What do you mean step out? For what? Who are you? How dare you? But guess what? If I then realize that, hang on, it's difficult to get this guy, Sergio, to get out of the room. If I leave the room for a moment and I come back and I throw in a tear gas into that same room, the normal immediate behavioral pattern for you is you either fly through the window or that same door, you get out, because then the issue of safety and staying alive kicks in, right? Your breathing, your lungs, your well-being, because you don't want to die. You rush out of that room, you go find safety. So my action is deliberate to force you out of that room. So as soon as the gas settles or the outcome is I forced you out, I take control of that room and whatever it is that I want to control in that room. Does that make sense? So all of these impoverishment, ruin frauds and, lack of jobs and broken infrastructures or infrastructures that they refuse to build is deliberate. Because why? As a human being, you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to go try Europe. I'm going to go try somewhere else. So what they do is they get us out in droves because they know you're coming to the West. We will come. We'll go to the West. We'll find whatever it is we can do. And then you justify it. That, particularly when you have children, you will say, I've got to give a good life to my children. Like somebody said on the screen, it's by design. It's not a mistake. In our tiny little heads, individual brains, we might have, your plan might be different from mine, but the bigger picture is it's deliberate. It's an economic plan. Because you know why? If I settle in England, I live in England for 10 years and 15 years, even if I'm washing toilets for a living, in the process, I contribute to England's GDP. I pay taxes. If you're in the States, you're driving taxi. Whatever you're doing, you're contributing to America's wider GDP. So we are strengthening their system. And on top of all that, we deal with daily microaggression, the oppression, the glass ceiling, the cement ceiling, the daily challenges, police killing black folks. They are telling you via every means possible that we ain't got no regard for you. You ain't shit because you're black. It's all deliberate. We are very powerful beings. Black people, by genes, by design, universal design, we are very strong mentally. Because if you look at the oppressions that we deal with on a daily basis, people still carry on pushing. We still carry on fighting. We're shouting racism. They're killing people left, right, and center. We still remain in that West. We are pushing. We are the only race that have been conditioned to live with that. We are the only race in the society where we exist in, where if I'm having a bit of an argument with a white counterpart about a parking space outside, I haven't assaulted the person. I'm trying to protect my space and stuff. When the police officers pull up, there is already a stereotypically generated perception of me. There's a preconceived notion, because I'm a black guy, where the society is wired to perceive me as a thug, to see me that I'm in fact posing a threat to the white man or the white. And in fact, interestingly, the white person might actually be the person who is in the wrong. But as soon as I'm cornered, they call me aggressive and intimidating. All of these templates of dealings with blacks are deliberate. So, but when we want to talk about it, we talk about racial hatred and discrimination. It's deliberate. The brain drain in the motherland, and when we come here, you get a bit of your breadcrumbs, a bit of money in your pocket. We fan the flames of what they are doing to sabotage the African structure, particularly those of us that are just like, you know what, I'm not bothered, man. I've got a bit of money in my pocket. I'm comfortable. I'm driving a nice car. I live in a gated community in England. I have a nice job. I work in the financial services. I have my own business. To hell with Africa. And that's how a lot of black folks are living. And when those people at the top of the pyramid are looking down, they laugh as they pop their champagne, high five, because that's exactly how it's been laid. Because if you look at the bigger impact over time, you rush out of Africa, you're not tolerated anywhere in the West, so it's almost like you're going to end up homeless. Your country of origin, they will end up taking over 70-80% of the land, and then where do we run to? Because black people have no allies. We are at the bottom of everything. It's all deliberate. That's, sorry, I'm just hijacked. Carry on talking, bro.
You stated, I listened, and then you said that yes, we've been through a lot, but the Jewish have also been through a lot, and they've also come through a lot. From
the
if
Jews
you have
are
a
not black.
conversation,
Jewish people are not black.
Yes, but then again, they've also tried to overcome a lot of the obstacles they faced through education, and then some sort of interest in their own self-interest. Well, one thing I realized about us, the way we are conditioned, is that we can't balance self-interest of the general population with selfishness. It's something that is very difficult for us as Africans to do. For example, look at countries like what do you call it? If you look at countries like Uganda, there's a very little elite class and a large poor class. If you look at there's so many African countries where we see that people are more selfish than working in the self-interest of the nation. That is a huge problem we need to tackle, and that requires some philosophical debates that should occur across the continent. And I like the Prof. Lumumba speeches that he gives. He really inspires us to really think in terms of a collective. Now, Also, we have to look at the condition of learned helplessness that we have in our community. For example, if you are an African in the diaspora, it's almost like
Mm.
people back home stop working. They're like, my man is outside. He should start providing. I think we should come to a point as Black people in the diaspora where we tell people the truth about our existence. And then people know that they have to work hard on their own soil to make something of themselves. That is where I say there's value creation that we need to evolve in our community before we can move forward or say we are even having a conversation with other people. I would love to say that I would want to go to the race argument, but I believe that if we create businesses, we will not talk about race. If we create businesses and opportunities, we will not have anyone. But we can have this conversation another time, because I see there are a lot of people trying to commenting right now on the Jewish struggle and everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's fine. I think there's just one point that you got wrong there, and I disagree. I mean, you've made very important points, my brother. Don't get me wrong. This what I'm saying comes from a place of love and respect. But we can never juxtapose, okay? Or we should never do that to ourselves and say, oh, look at the Jewish community. Look at the like juxtapose the Jewish struggle, whatever they've got, with the Black struggle. Nope. You can't. They can't run concurrently. You can't bring them side by side. Nope. Jewish people, they're very powerful, right? They are very powerful. I'm not knocking them for that. Okay. Black people, notice I keep saying, using the word deliberate. Black people, it's a global orchestration. There's a lot of power that dates back generations behind it. There are people at the pinnacle of affairs who belong in fraternities. It's it goes beyond even this YouTube channel, what we're talking about here, man. There is deliberate, that's why I say racism towards Black is the economic structure behind it is vast, is mind-blowing. It's, in fact, it's absolutely important for those people that are cashing out. That's why every problems and palaver that we have within the Black community, it's very important for them that we are dealing with those problems, because they make money off us. They populate prisons with Black people to cash out. They when George Floyd was killed, right? Like, for example, here in the UK, I mean, you know about George Floyd, right? When it went viral, every business, right? Everybody, you know, this whole Black Lives Matter, it felt as if you were wearing the latest Ralph Lauren shirt. Everybody jumped on particularly commercially, they jumped on the bandwagon. Oh, we align with the Black community. It's a lie. Like, Britain is a cesspit of racism. I've lived here long enough. It's the racism in this society is unbelievable towards Blacks. But when George Floyd's matter was hot for a minute, oh yeah, we stand with the Black community, Black Lives Matter. It's a lie. A lot of businesses changing their branding and stuff. And as soon as the George Floyd news kind of fizzled out, gone quiet, everything went back to normal. The stats are the same. The Black struggle is suppressed on a daily basis. So we can't, be saying the Jewish people did this. We should. No. I disagree. But anyway, thank you, my brother. Thank you.
But before I leave, I would like to say that I in my personal opinion, think the Black struggle is a problem of organization. It's something you mentioned earlier. So if we are able to organize our own houses first, then no one can come and then tell you something else. So you organize your life, fix your life, clean your room, become a better person, speak forthrightly and speak truth. And if we tell ourselves the truth, I believe we can change our narrative. But as it stands up now, we are lying to ourselves. A lot of the times, amongst all communities of Black people, we lie to ourselves. We don't say the truth, and that is killing us. Say the truth and we shall be free.
I agree. Thank you, bro. William, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Phrankleen, I'm good, man. I appreciate you for what you do, and thank you for inviting me here today.
Yes, sir.
Let me turn this off. All right. So I'm going to jump on the subject just to make sure we don't take too much time.
Right, right.
Um, so this conversation can go on, and I listened to Sergio earlier, and I'm just going to pick one topic: solution, right? Because I work on solutions all the time, and the
Hmm.
biggest
Yo, you're breaking up, bro.
I mean communities. Um, the lady who talked before him is an
Right.
example of someone who went back to understand why was I never in contact or connected to Africans, and she was able to understand, and she was disappointed when she went home. The same thing with the guy after who said he went to the US and and people told him these are not our people. Africans living in
Yeah.
Africa don't understand Africans living in the US, don't understand Africans living in the Caribbean, don't even understand Africans living in the UK, in Europe, or Africans living in Asia. That's division. That's the first step. And none of this
Hmm.
was our choice, right? So for an African who doesn't know what's going on out there, because I live here in Toronto, in Canada, I would say, Toronto is like the least place an African would feel discrimination, but still, you still feel it, as compared to other countries. But I went to an international university, and I met Caribbeans, Americans, Canadians, Africans from Europe. Everyone thought, we are different. But the problem that we have in this community is that the only thing that brings us together is because we are bullied by the world. So Sergio brought a very interesting point when he said, "What do we bring? We have nothing of value."
Hmm.
We That's what he said. That's the thing, is that the news says we have nothing of value. Our parents tell us we have not outside of the continent, saying there's nothing for you here, is to tell you that there's no value. But there is value,
Hmm.
because when you left, now you have a YouTube channel presenting African stores or new businesses because you found value. There is value. It's just not educated. Like, education is not just, we can have degrees. Nigerians
Hmm.
are line of degrees. I mean, if you don't have a degree in your family, they don't consider you Nigerian enough. The thing is that we don't talk about it, right? We don't talk about it. Um, we The plan you explained very well. I don't even want to go over this. Planned that the African I like to talk about African community because it's confusing when we say black. It has to stay at the bottom in order to get everyone else elevated. And we need to focus on the essential, not the accessory. The accessory is unity. We want unity of the African community. We want everyone to be together. We want Pan Africanism. We want to be liberated. But this is accessory. This is something that you have access to. But you cannot talk about access unless you have the essential. Essential
Hmm.
is education. It's what do you know? What do you know about black people? What do you know about Africans? When he says Jewish people suffered a lot, that's the news telling you that. It's not true.
Of
We
course.
from Yeah, it's not true. It's not just today. What you know today is what the news tell you. But when you read books, the uh,
You're breaking up, bro.
so
You can try to reconnect, bro. You're breaking up. Um, Hi, Bookie.
Hello, Franklin. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks.
Yeah, just want to contribute to what you're saying.
Yeah.
You see, racism is very, very hidden, and is embedded in complexity. If you see what I mean.
Hmm.
So when you go as a black person living in the UK, for example, because I live in the UK,
Right.
you see, um, the
there's so hypocritism in this country, you know, and you see, and the reality is they don't give you a chance as a black person to get a job.
Of course, we know that. Yeah, of course, you're right.
So what they do is they're gonna say, "Oh, come for this interview and all that," and they won't actually tell you the requirements. And when you end up not getting the job, they're gonna say, "Oh, we've got you right," or "With you are not the kind of candidate we're looking for." So they just use all sort of excuses
Yeah,
this to dismiss you. You know, so it's not as obvious like saying call you black or this. There's so much more to racism than what's being we led to believe. I mean, I like what you said when you said um the way the world is structured. You know, I
yes,
I agree with that. It's deliberate design to keep black people at the spectrum of the ladder. You know, and the problem is the solution. How can we go forward? How can we move on from here? That's what we should be looking at. You know,
right.
because unity, this these white people, they deliberately keep this unity within ourselves.
Yes,
When I remember during in politics, let me say go back to 1974, when 1975 whatever, when Muritala was trying to make African unity very very stronger, and him and Gaddafi got together trying to say how can we make Africa more united, and then something happened along the line, and someone came and sabotaged this
hmm.
process, and you know what happened to both uh, both men, and you see, so I mean, African leaders, they have been puppets, they have been controlled. I mean, OAU was created in 1972 or whatsoever, and OAU is not functioning. It's not functioning at all, and it's deliberate to just sabotage this process of making Africa unite. I mean, look at EU for example, it's stronger and everything. And What can't Africa? If African countries can come together and be one economic and political strong, I think that is the way forward. But the
Thank
power
you.
at the top is not allowing that.
All right.
That's my opinion.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let me bring the next person in. The studio is full. People are trying to call in. Right. Thank you for that. So let's stick to the topic, right? So our black folks, fanning the flames of Africa's gentrification and all the things going on. I'm talking particularly black folks that come to the West and equally those back home, whereby based on our attitude, mindset, those that have migrated here, and we're just turning our backs on the motherland whilst the West keep going through the back door and taking advantage. What do you think? D, hello, your mic is on mute. Hello? I'm gonna have to remove you. Right. Kazim.
Yeah. So I will directly be targeting your questions. I mean, what you're talking about. Mainly if there are some top peoples that are in charge of this systemic racism, those are the ones we need to really go after, basically. So it might sound unconventional, but I believe there is a need for like a level of militancy in the African community as a whole. You coming here, going to school, getting all the degrees and everything. You still, even our African leaders, we don't even need to target them because they're already puppets. So we need to target like the main source, like the people in the top ladder. We need to start doing some little, maybe secret research about these top people and see how we can sabotage their plan, you know, and kill their
Wait,
dream.
Realistically, though, let's talk realistically. There is something called wishful thinking. I get what you're saying, my brother, but realistically, do you think that's possible? What you just said.
Is almost impossible, but there is nothing impossible at the same time. We need to start doing the secret research about these people and that they are not aware, because once they become aware, they will find a way to destroy the plan, the militancy. And how we can do that, first of all, is by we coming together as Black people and recognizing what we are under against. So is impossible, but it's still possible. First of all, we need that unity, and we need to start creating these strategies, but it has to be hidden, that these people are not able to see what we're about to do, because the system itself is abnormal. The systemic racism is abnormal, and the only way to tackle an abnormal situation sometimes is going against the rightful way. You know, we got to do
Yeah.
something unconventional to solve this kind of situation. So that's really what I have to say about that.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Hello.
What's up?
I'm all right.
Can you hear me?
Thanks. Yeah, loud and clear.
Cool. So, just first off, I just want to understand like the topic. So, gentrification, by dictionary definition, would be influx of foreigners coming into Africa, trying to rebuild for themselves or the richer class. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I don't think there's
And that's me. Let me say, me
Yeah.
talking about gentrification. That's me putting it mildly. If I come up with where I really would like to say it, YouTube is not going to like it. So I had to just put it down.
Okay. Well, what would you want to say? Like, what do you think it's so far left that you want to say?
I'm not going to say.
Okay. So let's just stick to
between the lines. It's along the lines of how Africa has been damaged. Well, carry on with what you're saying.
Okay, so I don't think it's anything new, right? I mean, in pretty much every country and every part of the world, like humans are striving for a better life, you know, and
Right.
you know, if I get rich or you get rich, we don't want to stay in the same situation just because of stories we've heard, you know, and things that happen. You know, you get rich, somebody else wants what you want. It's just a human trait, you know. People envy, people are jealous. So when it comes to gentrification in Africa, of course, people are coming into Africa and they're picking the best spots to rebuild, you know, to make them better and to live there, you know. If that's what you're saying, you know, but you know, I've also noticed the same thing in Canada and elsewhere. You know, the Chinese are here, you know, they're buying up property, they're trying to stay in better neighborhoods, better places. It's kind of unfortunate for humans with less, you know, humans that want to all, you know, and that's just the way of the world. Like if somebody gets richer than you, they're going to do something you cannot do, you know. And it's okay for us to complain, but if everybody has the chance, you know, to be rich, to be wealthy, you know, I would
Can I
like
say
to.
something to you? Can I say something to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know what you're saying about you're saying that's the way of the world. I understand those things. You see, personally, I laser target my focus when I come on this live stream. I'm only concerned about us blacks,
Right.
how we get most of the things you've been saying, which I understand. I already know them, you know, and I appreciate it. But you know, when you say the ways of the world and all that stuff, I'm talking about this is your house. For whatever reason, you decide to move on because you say, okay, you know what? It's unpalatable for me to carry on existing here. But the orchestration behind it is the reason that made you leave. For example, let me simplify this. If you have a chat with an average Nigerian, right?
Yeah.
And you say, hey, yo, man, don't come to the UK, guy. You know, find something to do in Nigeria, blah, blah, blah. They say, yo, Phrankleen, it's because you're a British citizen. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Nigeria is not smiling. Nigeria, blah, blah, blah. Now, on one hand, I'm a reasonable man, okay? I understand that people are suffering. I understand the challenges, why people will be desperate and they want to get out. But I'm addressing the bigger picture, okay? So rather than you focusing on Mr. X and saying, why do you want to relocate to the UK or Dubai? That's not the point. Why is it that there are so many of us? There is a huge brain. In fact, it's interesting. The West were the one that came up with that word. Brain drain. The best of our doctors, the best of our lawyers, the best of our engineers. People are leaving in droves, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And we contribute to the GDP of the West. Even in that same West, you're being tolerated. That's a fact. In America, they can get you like that, and they'll get away with it. So people, well, I'm saying amongst ourselves as Black folks, we individualize ourselves. People have learned, Black folks have learned to be selfish. There is no togetherness. And whilst we are busy with all of those things that I've been talking about, justifying why being in the West is a preferred option, why we don't care about the motherland, the West is aggressively taking over Africa. One day at a time, they're moving in with their resources, you know, buying lands, taking over the major spots, taking over power. So over time, see, people don't just do things. When you're talking about China, for example, they didn't just rush to Africa because they are bored in China. There was an end game. There's a reason why China is moving in aggressively and building infrastructure. And it's like colonizing Africa. This is the part 2 of it, but in a much more sophisticated manner, because we are enabling the process. That's all I'm trying to talk about. Does that make sense?
Okay, so it makes sense. So just a few points you had. You first pointed out that, you know, there's a brain drain. A lot of people are moving out of Africa, and I don't think this is anything new. You know.
Yeah, of course.
You know, when America was building as a society, you know, a lot of Italians, Greeks, Irish, you know, moved to the US to build the new society, right? And the population in the US right now is over 300 million as compared to, like, say, Canada, which has the same land mass, which is only 30 million. So, you know, eventually we're going to see that same sort of population rise in Canada, you know, because people are coming in. I've spoken to a lot of Nigerians. They want to move to Canada. Everybody from everywhere in the world thinks this is the land of milk and honey. Plus, that's the way it's advertised. You know, they want people here because more humans means more productivity, you know, means more for the economy and all that, you know. So if Africans are moving now, it's just what the Europeans did, you know, 80, 90 years ago when they moved to the US. You know, it's nothing new. Like, people will keep on moving. And just because, like, Europeans moved from Europe to America doesn't mean, like, Europe died, right? Like, people were still back home, still, you know, continuing, still producing.
Europe is different from Africa, bro. You're making the wrong comparison.
Okay.
You're saying just because Europeans are moving doesn't mean X, Y, Z.
Right.
The impact on Africa, the plans for or against Africa is a totally different ballgame. That's what we're addressing here. It's totally different.
Right. So you feel like
France alone, one country, France, controls several African countries. I'm sure you should know this already. So they are holding tight onto the affairs and the finances of those African countries. And those African countries, if you look at them closely,
yes,
their population are suffering. A lot of them are moving to the West. France pulls out billions from those African countries every
right,
year. They are
right.
deliberate.
Okay. Just on that point, I would say that's nothing new. I think the only thing African nations are lacking is, the will to fight back. Because, if you look at European history, there's always been clash. There's always been fighting. France against Belgium, Belgium against England, and all of that. And it's only by that means that they were able to reach where they are right now. So it's fighting and then going back to the drawing board and saying, okay, you cannot take this piece of land. You can take this piece of land. You cannot do this. I don't think Africans, like, look for example at a country like Ethiopia. Everybody has that mindset that they were never colonized. They fought off the Italians, and that's what everybody praises them for, right?
You're
So
making you're making a mistake. You're doing it again. You see, I get what you're saying, but you see,
right,
there are wars. You see, Africa. Let me tell you
right,
something. Africa
right.
is the best land in the world.
Okay,
Believe me,
okay,
resource-wise, weather, and everything. That's
right,
why the most powerful in the West. It started from I keep talking about the Berlin Conference. That's why
right,
Africa is on the dinner table. Even the West
right,
that you're talking about, right? The Europeans and stuff, there's ongoing war amongst themselves. Who
right,
wants to take the lion's share? Because all the resources, all the iPhones, all your iPads, all the chips in your latest laptops, all the mineral resources, they come from the motherland. There is
right,
crazy, stupid generational money. Africa is unbelievably blessed. That's
right.
why it's very important for them to cripple the inhabitants of Africa,
Right.
hoping that they would get us out of the way so they can dominate the resources to cater for themselves. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So, but the mistake you're making is you're talking about the wars that the Europeans, let me tell you, man, that's nothing.
Okay.
Africa, yeah, Africa is the keel. Africa is the meat. Africa
Okay.
is what they want, not us Africans. They want us out of the way. They want the milk and honey from the motherland. That's what it's
And
about. That's what it's
okay.
required to debilitate the inhabitants of Africa, to cripple them so that they can be in control. That's why our leaders are puppets. Because why? If they have to check this out, my brother, check this out. Take
Okay.
Nigeria, for example. If they decide to wake up tomorrow morning and say, you know what? We are going to make every express roads and side street absolutely perfect, 24/7 electricity, healthcare at the top level, education, bang, 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 everything perfect. Trust me, a chunk of Nigerians in the West, even non-Nigerians, people are coming. People will move back in droves. That's why it's important for them to make sure that corruption is at an all high level so that it will keep people out. It's a psychological warfare. More and more will come out of the country and come to the West, and they use you to sustain themselves. Simple
Okay.
as.
So maybe we can take a cue from President Mao of China. If we feel like the influence of the West is too much in Africa, maybe we can close our borders to outside influence. Maybe we.
Bro, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to let you go, man. Sorry, forgive me. You're not clicking, man. You're not clicking with me. Sorry. I'm sorry, man. Let me get someone else in. Hello. Hello. Unmute your mic, please. Hello. That
Hello.
person. Can you hear me?
Hi, Franklin.
Hi.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you very much for this very enlightening program. I don't know. It's something that I've been discussing with a whole lot of Africans where I am here, and everything all then boils down to Pan-Africanism and all that. And I'm telling people, see, this thing, it can't just work like that. It's something that has been going on for years, and we've not even, formulated any strategy to end it. It's amazing how on a yearly basis, in the last 2 years, from Nigeria, I think we had over 1,000 medical doctors who had to leave Nigeria to the UK. At the time I was leaving to Europe, we were about 100 of us at the same time in the same healthcare system. And I'm wondering, who then builds Africa if we all have to be living like this? And then at the same time, you find out that these white folks, most especially the Chinese, are coming to Africa and they're tapping so much, making so much wealth from Africa. So are we blind to see that we have so much? Why is it difficult for us to remain in our land and, work with what we have? And I don't know, it's something that really, really baffles me. And I just came to the conclusion that maybe that's how the world was designed to be. Is there any way we can end it?
Yeah, it's you're very right. They um they create a toxic environment for a lot of people that exist in Africa, right? And then what runs concurrently with that is Western propaganda. Have you not? I mean, you've known this for years.
Yeah.
When you look at the Western media, everything Western or everything from the West is perfect and number one. When they show Africa, I mean, thank God for that we can use platforms like YouTube. You have the likes of me talking, the likes of Woody Meyer, and so many Black content creators that have taken initiative to show Africa in a positive light. The Western media, their actions are all deliberate because when they show in the West, they show us as being inflicted with HIV. We have kwashiorkor, we are struggling, we are riddled with cholera, we are homeless. In 2020, you still find somebody in England, a grown white man or woman might just randomly say to you, "Oh, do people wear clothes in Nigeria?" And you laugh.
It sounds really irritating, because I came in here for my master's, and each and every time, because I studied health informatics, and they
Right.
portray Africa as, poor.
Yeah.
Every time I have to sit in class listening to all of these things, I don't know, really, frankly, I don't know. I don't. It's some. I've been thinking. I've been trying to think. If I've almost gone crazy trying to think, and I'm wondering how then do we redeem ourselves? Because we have seen ourselves as this low. We are so low. That's the way we see ourselves. That we are low, but then we have great potentials. You see black people, and really, we are really, really intelligent, and we
No,
strive very well in this
um,
Western world. So,
it's a psychological warfare. Like I keep saying, it's deliberate. It's been happening for generations. The same people that bit religion into us, right? Religiosity and stuff. It's mental conditioning. It's all deliberate. It's a huge scale that dates back donkey years. And if they are conditioned people to behave and to think and reason in a certain way, there is a desired outcome for them. So, when I run out of a place, my own home, and I run to someone else's home, the person's space that I run into, don't forget that they control that space and they will control my movement. They will control how I navigate through their own space. Because now I'm in their own space. So they would tell me where the wind blows from, and then I'm fighting in that space. Hey man, I want you to recognize me as black. I want you to accept me. And they're telling me, they're giving me the middle finger, and they're telling me, you mean nothing to me. And then we are in their space, we are fighting in their space, we are asking for justice in their space, they are killing us in their space, they're depriving us of progress in their space. So when you're frustrated, maybe by the time we wake up,
And at the same time, they are setting us up against ourselves in our own space as well.
it's
So
all deliberate.
where
It's
do
all
we go?
deliberate.
Maybe another planet, but I don't know. Uh,
But anyway, thank you. Let me bring on the next person. I appreciate you.
yeah, sure.
Right. Let me Jazzy.
Hey, Franklin, you're originally a
Are you
smart guy, man. I'm all right. You stole my talking points on that last talking point. That's what I was waiting on to get on to say. Religion really did mess us up as a people. That's why we can't come together and unify the way we want to unify, like the rest of races that occupying the spaces in the Caribbean as well as in Africa. Because of the religion, how we were bred to break apart the family, and they break down the family, and in order to us to build back up, we don't have that trust within our we as a group of people to move forward. And
mm,
for instance, if we wanted if you and I wanted to buy this complex over here to rent it out, and I have 20 grand and you got 10 grand, the person, the 10 grand of the person, I mean, they're supposed to break equally, but because I put in the most equity on it, you feel that I feel that I got to lessen your value. You get what I'm saying? In the
yeah,
upgrowth of the, you know what I mean? So we look at it the wrong way. But the Chinese, if they, I'm just mentioning Chinese, I'm putting them out there like I don't mean nothing. Just another race. Chinese, they come together as a unit. If every man in one household, the Indians, every man in one household, they help. As one go to college, they pull the other one out. The one go to college, pull the other one out. Until everybody's set. You know what I mean? In order to go out there and grow. But I think we as a black race, we have a hard time, breaking that cycle because of the religion issue and because of slavery issue, how they bred us to be divided, breaking down of the family. It's really hard to trust the other black man in order to grow. You know what I mean? And we as a people have to find and many have tried. Don't get me wrong. Many the other half is only half of 50 is part of the religion. The other half, people have tried. People have tried.
mm,
You even talk about shows. You got shows in which people reach back overseas and try to have a family help them build a house, build a business, but it breaks down. So the
mm.
trust value, the trust values, in our community as a people, we don't have as a unit, you know.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
But thank you, brother.
All right, man. I'm gonna take a couple of more. Man. Hello.
Hi, Frank.
Hi,
Um,
how you doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, I must say, talking about this gentrification thing, it's quite distasteful. I was in Uganda last year, and I saw the, intensity of, the Chinese takeover in Uganda, and I
Mm.
was totally enraged, bro. I was like, what the fuck is going on here, Like,
Language.
yeah, I think, we need to come together. Africa needs to come together. We need to, think about going back home. It's a thing, with Africans back home, especially. I mean, I wouldn't know, but West Africa, where I'm Nigerian as well. So many people think okay, when you're in Europe, we're in the US, where when you're in the UK, you're doing fine. You don't need to care about what's going on. Everyone wants to bail out, but we don't need to bail out. We need to go back home. Sincerely speaking, I was also of the same school of thought. I also had the same thought before I left. When I left, I thought, okay, whatever, I'm not going back home. But gradually, I saw the relevance of, holding on to Africa, because that's all we've got. We don't have any other home to go. Regardless of how long you stay in Europe, in the UK, in the States, you are still African. You are still Black. And we need to make our home proud. I would really think, the problem with like Africa is we need to set up a kind of system where we diasporans need to, make a move, because most Africans think the West is better. Wherever you go in Africa, that's the thought. Everyone
Yeah.
believes the West is better. So we need to educate people back home. It is not the case.
And it's interesting you said that. But in terms of trying to educate people back home, I think one of the best ways to really educate people is perhaps incorporating this so-called education about the Western propaganda and stuff into the school, into the school's curricula. Start with our youngins. And because what I've realized is, for most adults that have gone past their formative years, when you're trying to engage with them, they are as rigid as anything. They latch onto that Western propaganda because everything about the West, and one of the points that they throw back in your face to try to defeat your argument is, oh, if it's that bad, why are you living in the West?
Exactly.
But what you do not understand is, for most people that live in the West, so you had a different mindset too when you started your journey. Then you got the Western system. The Western system sucked you in. So by the time you might have realized you've sort of built your neck deep into the system. You have responsibilities now. You have a mountain of debt, bills, education. You probably are even a parent now. You got kids and stuff, and then you're going through the daily rat race and dealing with all the palaver in the West. But then when you try to break those things down to your brother and sister who's in the motherland, they look at you and say, "Oh, you are a British citizen. You are an American citizen. Oh, okay, nonsense."
Yeah. Some people even believe you don't want them to, forge ahead, like you don't want them to be successful. Trying to, advise them to stay and build the motherland. I mean, one thing I would like to put in quickly is I would personally suggest that, diasporans try to get into politics, into African politics, because I think it's one way we can try to move
African.
ahead.
Wait, bro. I get what the intention is, but I like to talk realistically. African politics is a whole nother ball game entirely.
Of course, but it's not impossible, Frank. You see, if we decide to stay out of African politics, we all know what it is. We all know what it is. So we need to chip in. We don't need to be at the forefront, but we can actually, try to bring a sort of change into the political system in Africa. That's, for me,
maybe if we walk together in multitude and we move aggressively, there might be a shift in paradigm, because it's the African political arena man, is brutal, man.
Oh,
As soon as you come with the light, you come with a narrative that does not align with theirs, which is evidently deeply rooted in corruption and,
oh
you know,
yes.
misappropriation of public funds and all the rest of it. They
Oh
will
yeah.
look
Oh
for a
yeah.
way to obliterate you and, you know, get you out of the way. So there are so many great minds, particularly in the diaspora, like you rightly said.
Mm.
But I think, first of all, people worry about safety because nobody wants to
Yes.
end up dying like a chicken.
Apparently, no one wants to. Yeah, that would be horrible. But as long, I mean, as far as we can do, our own bit in terms
Mm.
of property accusation, the problems with the Chinese, the West, taking everything we have, whatever we can do, take our time with our resources, make sure we try to, invest in our own economies as well. Get properties, invest in businesses. I know it's a tricky situation in Africa, especially.
I've got to say though, I've got to say, let's give
But it's
credit.
important.
Let's
Mhm.
give credit where credit is due. So many diasporans are
No matter,
trying
no matter, no matter how small it
to
is, we
say,
should try to put in,
yeah,
put something back in,
diasporans
yeah,
are trying, but
yeah.
that's a different topic for another day. But I think diasporans are plagued with misappropriation of their funds and resources by
Oh yeah,
mostly family charlatans that are
that is.
based back in the motherland. So you have two types of diasporans. You have the ones that can possibly jump on the plane tomorrow morning and go and check up on their
Mhm.
ongoing project. And then you have the
Okay.
other diasporans who are
Oh yeah.
unfortunately trapped in the shadow of the Western system. They are working
Oh
two,
yeah.
three
Mhm.
jobs and they're selling
Yeah.
money out on a monthly
Mhm.
or bi-monthly basis. And unfortunately, their resources are being misused because they are vulnerable in terms of being able to jump on the plane. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah. That's
it's
that's a tricky situation. Yeah. But I mean, eventually we just need to do something. We need to do something. We shouldn't just sit talk about this. We should put this
my my
into
my
action.
my my bone of contention for today is particularly those Africans, our brothers and sisters, who have managed to come to the West, just like I live in the West. They enjoy a tiny bit of comfortability. They've got a bit of some change in their bank accounts. They live in what they regard as a posh side of the country or whatever. They've got nice jobs and they disconnect themselves from Africa. See, check
Mhm.
this, right? You and I
Okay.
know, we're talking about the
Yeah.
Chinese taking over Africa, right? We've been saying that.
Yeah.
But you and I
Yeah.
know that in China, there is a
Yeah.
blatant disregard for human rights. Yes or no?
Yeah. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Now,
It's a well-known fact.
you will never find the Chinese stand with you on the pavement or on the high
Yeah.
street and talk
Yeah.
nonsense about China. Do you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That doesn't
That's
mean
true.
China is perfect. That doesn't
That's
mean they
true.
don't have their shortcomings.
Yeah.
But
Of course.
what I've noticed about the black man is, when I say black man, I mean man and woman,
Yeah.
is we are very quick to put our own land in the bin and
Mhm.
uphold the white man's land.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the white man's land is actually tolerating us and using us for the
Mhm.
furtherance of their own agenda.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Of course. I mean. Mhm. The Western dream, the American dream, it's all a trap. It's an entrapment. You get into the system, you think you're you know moving ahead, but literally you're not really progressing, and that's quite awful, I must say.
anyway, thank you, my brother. I appreciate your time, man. Thank you, man. Right. That's me done. Sorry for the guys in the background. I can't take on everyone for today. Forgive me. I appreciate you. I should be back here tomorrow, hopefully, for a nice live stream session. All right. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for the super chats, the donations, for the support me via Cash App. Look at the bottom of the screen, # Phrankleen or PayPal. You can see something scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now. But I appreciate you. It's a nice conversation, heavy on my mind. I am not an epitome of knowledge. I'm just a passionate guy that I try to use my voice positively and engage people like you. I hope we can keep this conversation going. Part of the reasons why I think these type of conversations need to be ongoing is hopefully one person at a time. We can educate ourselves, we can inform ourselves, we can start to understand a lot better, and even I myself, I learned from all of this and try to improve my mindset and my vision and everything. So that's me done. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I think I've managed to once again deliver on my self-imposed obligation. I love you. I appreciate you. Can't thank you enough for supporting my channel. If you bump into this for the first time, thank you for taking the time to watch my content. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, hit on that select all, so that allows you to be alerted when I'm online and when I upload my content. Homegirl Healer, thank you for the donations. Thank you for everybody. I'll definitely catch you in the next one. Peace and love, man. Bye-bye.